What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to today's video. I'm filming the intro here. Actually, after filming all the footage you're going to see in the video, I wasn't quite sure what was going to come of what I was filming until now. The last few weeks I actually ended up getting HP tuners for the car. I've got the new MPVI2 interface and obviously the HP tuner software, so I've been monkeying with that a little bit. I found out that the tune in it is actually really good. So when I ended up going to the dyno, we didn't modify anything. The guy that tuned it did a spot-on job. We actually ended up not changing anything. But that being said, with some of the maintenance I did recently, I picked up over 7 miles per gallon on the highway, and we picked up about 40 peak pound-feet of torque, and I think in the neighborhood of around 50 horsepower in a couple spots down low. The peak horsepower number didn't go up much, but the torque went up a lot, the peak torque, and then across the whole bottom end of the curve it's just got super fat horsepower and torque. I was surprised and he was surprised too. Anyways, we're gonna go on a little bit of a road trip here. So the route that we're taking is about 340 miles one way. It's like a 6-hour drive, so obviously that's just the route for our first stop, about an hour and change. The total driving distance is something like 700 miles that I put on the car this weekend, and it went flawlessly. Ran really good, and I noticed a good increase in power and actually fuel economy after doing all this recent maintenance and everything. So that being said, we'll get right into the video. We're taking a drive down to the car show in Marshall, Minnesota. It's going to be at Shades of the Past. We're staying at my friend's parents' house, but otherwise we'll do a little footage of the ride down. Car show montage, I'll keep that really quick. And you're obviously here to find out the dyno results, so I'll just put a little annotation right here so you can skip ahead right to it and skip all this if you don't want to watch it. And yeah, when we actually got to the dyno day, I went for a ride in Ryan's twin turbo LS swapped first generation Camaro. Makes about 900 wheel horsepower, and last weekend or the weekend before it was running bottom 9s in the mid 140s, and he's shooting for 8s on the current setup. It's going to be making around 1,000 horsepower, and that was legitimately the fastest, like, craziest car I've ever been in. I couldn't believe how hard it pulls. It was a missile. Hopefully it doesn't jump around too much in the video. I didn't know how it was going to end up, so I'm going to try and stitch it all together here and keep it short, and we'll get right to it. So on the way from the Iron Range to Superior, a Jeep kicked up a giant chunk of tar and it hit the front bumper of the Trans Am. Now the front bumper had been repainted a couple times by the previous owner who got backed into, and the paint never really matched. So when we get stopped at the house we're going to, I'll show you what it looks like. Took a little bit of the paint off and that sucks, but otherwise the car's been doing really good. The exhaust is pretty loud, but once you get into 6th gear it's pretty good. Air conditioning is barely working. I forgot since like last summer that either the blower motor or the resistor doesn't work, and after looking at Emac's car, the Mustang in front of us, I decided that the car also needs tint, and it hadn't occurred to me until now, so that's kind of great, I guess. But yeah, so that's a little update. We've been driving for a few hours. Here's that little chunk that's missing. You can see that. There it is. Oh no. Well, there. Now you can never know. So that sucks, but it's all good. put gas in the car since changing those plugs out. And when I went on that trip to go race at the airport down in Siren, it got like 15 miles per gallon after beating on it and all the highway driving and everything. And I would say I did about the same amount of beating on it and then driving, and I got 22 miles per gallon. So I'm wondering if those plugs are bad. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out later in the video when we go do our dyno day, see if we actually made a little bit more power too. I'm starting to think like for sure that those plugs are garbage. All right, we're gonna go back to their house, I guess, and I guess we're coming back to the show tomorrow. There's Eric getting his calves. Tell him in the comments to put cams in his car. Alright, so we made it to the shop for the night. Thanks Wayne for letting me park inside, and Eric for introducing me to everybody. It's the second year I've been here. Talk about goals, right? Little Cobra, Ford, and Trans Ammo tucked away. So we're gonna have a few beers and we'll pick up in a little while. Alright, day 2. Stayed up way too late with Hannah here. And Eric. And we are gonna go to the show. This is gonna be loud. Alright, so we ended up actually making it to the car show. Put a couple clips of the show in here, and when we get back to the house tonight, I think we're actually gonna go ride in that Cobra. So there's a couple shots of it, and we'll see you guys in a little bit.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
Chance to ride the Cobra. These things are crazy. It's rough though. Locks them up if you get off the gas. Yeah, these things are nuts. There's no other car like it I've ever been in. If you look down, your legs are off to the side. Dude, your legs off to the side over there too. The pedals are all moved. Yep. So your legs are off to the side. My right leg's on fire from the exhaust heating up that side of the car. The left leg's got the transmission right next to it, the engine. It's super loud on the highway with all the wind noise, so it's not made for comfort, that's for sure. It's, I don't know, it's like a race car really. It's not made for cruising. company on the back. Yeah, probably. If I look back, yeah, I did a little bit. It's on the paint. Pulling it in. Alright, so day 2, we got a 5-hour drive back to Superior. We're going to go do the dyno day. Looks like it's still on, so we're going to pack up. Kind of super excited to go for a quick drive. We got to move the car, so we're going to take off. With this thing starting out of the way and start the long, treacherous journey home. I'll probably be deaf again by the time we get there. That exhaust really sucks on the highway, so you're going to have to change that up, maybe put a cutout on it or something, but that's definitely got to change. So I guess we'll get rolling. Alright, real quick, I just got fuel again. Looks like 275.4 miles this time, 12.43 gallons to fill it up. So again, we got 22 miles per gallon. I drove it a lot nicer this time, so I think it's going to be around 22 with all the highway driving that ends up happening. Yeah, anyway, so the mileage is a lot better. We're about 40 miles away from Superior, so I guess we'll see you guys at the dyno. Alright, quick detour. We picked up my dad, who actually guessed right last time. He guessed within like a horsepower or something, I forget what it was, but they made 383 and 330 torque last time. So all that changed since last time we actually dynoed the car was I put in a set of spark plugs, so the car seems to run a lot better, and I replaced the fuel filter. So as far as like performance stuff, that's really it, and I think it's going to do better. I don't know what, but we're going to see if he gets it again. So do you have any idea?
You're going to do about 389. And it's all on account of the weather. Sorry, man.
Oh, that's painful.
Yeah, it is.
He's got 389. I'm going to guess 391. I don't think it's going to make 400. I don't think they typically do it the LS1 intake, but I'm thinking it's going to make a little bit more. I'm going to have Ryan look at the tune in the car and see what he thinks about it. long drive. We've made it home. Car still wants to die out a little bit. I think we need to add a little bit of idle air. When I was talking to Ryan, he said that we can fix this pretty easy, so I've got a lot to learn with HP tuners. As you guys know, I just got it, so it's totally new to me. Ryan sounds like he's really good with it, so I'm gonna have to bounce a little bit of info off of him. This thing ran awesome. I don't know how many miles I ended up actually driving with it this weekend, but I would guess somewhere in the neighborhood of like 600 miles, something like that. It's a really, really good driving car on the highway. I reflected, now, like I said earlier in the video, I ended up gaining something like 7 miles per gallon, which is actually going to be reflected in how much horsepower and torque this thing is making down low now. It gained as much as like 75 horsepower torque in some spots. I'm going to overlay the graphs right here so you can see. The peak horsepower didn't actually go up that much, but down low where you really feel it, and where it would have been reflected in how it drives in the previous video, and the mileage of course, it seems to reflect it. So not what I expected. It didn't make much more peak horsepower. I think it was 386 or 88, something like that. And it was real consistent, so it was within, you know, like a horsepower again. So I don't think it's gonna, there's nothing really to gain after looking at the tune and having Ryan look at it. It's all really good. Next step is gonna be to actually put on the LS6 intake manifold. So that'll be the next thing. That should bring us right around the 400 mark is what I'm thinking. I mean, it really should by all accounts, I guess. All right, so here's what should be a really good view of the old horsepower and torque graphs. I had to make this myself, so I'm gonna explain a little bit what I got going on here. It'll make sense in a second. The old one is scaled to 400 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque on each end. So I took these numbers accordingly and I just plotted them at intervals on here. This side is scaled to 450 horsepower. This side scaled to 400 pound-feet of torque. So I did have to actually change this stuff a little bit, but you can see the horsepower and torque curves I drew in a pen, so it might be kind of hard to tell. But it gained as much as 50 pound-feet, 75 pound-feet, 60, 50, 15, 40, and it dropped off to about the same here. Seems to cross over right around 5,200 RPM, which is what happened last time. There's 5,000, 5,200 RPM. And yeah, horsepower is about 50, 40, 40, and 45, and starts dropping off again. Starts to tighten up a little bit here. So it didn't actually make much more peak power. I should have drawn a little bit farther, but you get the idea. You can see the horsepower lines going right here, and these are the two torque lines. So you're gonna have to stare at it and make sense of it. It's kind of hard to tell, but this is what would have been printed off. The computer was acting up, so they actually had to rescale it, and I haven't got that yet, but I'm making the video now, so this is the best I got for you. So yeah, that's gonna about do it for today's video. If you did like it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and come back for the installation of that LS6 intake manifold. I'll contact the person that guessed closest on the horsepower and torque, and I'll get you that t-shirt and some stickers. So I guess until the next video, we'll see you next time.